Good afternoon. Today I am going to be talking about our project. This is Diaz, and I worked with Gianas. I'm going to introduce our topic, talk about our action plan and our method, talk a little bit about results, and then the discussion that ensued. So the statement of our question was, is self-reflection effective at increasing formal writing revisions for 10th and 11th grade English students? We believe that it will increase the amount of revisions submitted. We read 3 different texts prior to starting our research. The first text was the impact of self and peer grading. Basically, Good stated that peer grading improves test scores while self-grading does not. We then looked at learning and leading with habits of mind, 16 essential characteristics for success. This text basically said that working together and alongside classmates helps students better able to reflect on their work because they are able to bounce ideas off of neighbors and get feedback that they might not have thought about. And so they then see their own ideas in a different light. It also said that students need to find links from what they're learning to what they already know, and that students need to be taught how that reflection isn't just whether or not they liked an assignment or isn't just whether or not they did a good job. It goes much deeper than that. And they need to be able to think about things that like they saw change in their work that needed to be changed, that maybe needed to be described a little bit deeper so that somebody else could understand, or maybe even they could understand it a little bit better. The last text that we read was Uncovering Substance Teaching Revision in High School Classrooms. Basically what this text said was that students need to be taught to revise, and teaching them to revise may enhance their written arguments in many different ways. So we can't just ask a student to revise, we need to teach them to revise. So our method and action plan is as follows. We had almost 90 students, almost 90 10th and 11th grade English students at Helix Charter High School in La Mesa, California participate. They self-identified their race and ethnicity and their gender. We didn't have students who preferred not to identify their race and ethnicity, but we did have a handful of students that preferred not to identify their gender, and then there was 2 of us teachers, both Angelique and I. For our surveys, we used self-reported gender and self-reported race as blocking variables. And then we also used online pre and post surveys via Google Forms. This is just a little snapshot of our pre-survey. So the design is pretty basic. We administered an online pre and post test 8-question survey to see if students' attitudes towards revisions changed once they had self-reflected. 3 groups of students were pre-surveyed. These same 3 groups of students were given a formal writing assignment and a self-reflection, and then they were post-surveyed. There were a few threats to the validity of our research, the first of which was if students were absent on the assignment day, they missed the peer edit. They were assigned the formal assignment the first day, we peer edited the second day. So if they made it back for the second day, then while everybody else was peer editing, they were working on the initial assignment. Another threat to validity was if students were absent on the return day, they missed the global feedback. While students were given individual feedback, some individual feedback on their formal assignment, the global feedback was where the discussion happened. And so if they missed that, then there was no discussion about their paper. Another threat was not all of our students took the pretest and not all of them took the post-test or post-survey. And the last threat to validity of our research was that our 11th graders took the pretest before 4 days of SBAC testing and after a 2-week break. So we came back and they took the test, and a few days later they took 4 days they took the survey. They were, and then a few days later they took the SBAC for 4 days. Our procedure is as follows. All of our students were given the pre-online survey on April 1st, which was our first day back from break. 10th graders had their formal writing assignment due on the 9th of April, and 11th graders had theirs due the next day. Everybody was given for global feedback and completed a self-reflection on April 15th. And then all revisions were due for both grade levels, and the post-survey was taken on April 19th. So our results are as follows. What we noticed was that, in particular, this question, that I feel that revising and editing my work is important, that the majority of our students said that initially that was true. The average score was a 4.3 out of 5, whereas the post-survey, it was a 4.2 out of 5. But there was a small group of students that preferred not to answer whether they were male or female, and theirs jumped. So we also broke this down by race and ethnicity. What we noticed again was the majority of our students said that this wasn't true, that revising their work and editing their work isn't important. And two small subgroups said that it was. But what we found overall was that after giving our self-reflection, a significant amount of students revised, which we went back and looked at our previous formal assignments, and only about 30% of the students revised, whereas after the self-reflection, after these surveys, 73% of our students revised. So while they are claiming that that this doesn't matter to them, it does, is what our research shows. So we saw a 43% increase in the amount of revisions submitted after students completed a self-reflection on their own writing prior to receiving their initial scores, even though students rated the importance of revision lower on the post-survey. The self-reflection included a class activity where students were guided through their formal writing assignments, given global feedback as a class, and completed a small reflection in which they examined their work and gave themselves a grade on the final rubric prior to receiving their scores. So again, even though they are maybe not putting as much stock into the post-survey as they did in the pre-survey, as far as the importance of reflection, or as far as the importance of revision, 43% more of our students revised this time. So we did have them complete a survey feedback for us. These were a few of the responses, and the majority of the responses looked very similar to this, but these were a few of the ones that stuck out. So our discussion, basically the resulting action as a result of our findings, we propose that more students integrate self-reflection into their curriculum and opportunities for students to reflect on their writing. With consistent implementation, we believe that self-reflection assignments and global feedback will drastically increase the amount of students who take the opportunity to revise and earn a higher grade. Thank you so much for listening. Have a lovely day.